Wonderful Sunday morning, and it was really, in the continuity of what Dr. Hyderabadi said. He told a lot about the diets, and I will cover up the more about the exercise part, and we'll brush up the, what should be the ideal diet, and it'll be kind of the healthy discussion about the fitness and what can be done in our routine life. Many thanks to Mohal and many congratulations for organizing this seminar. This is, really wonderful, which he clubbed with the scientific as well as a lot of life-touching sessions. So first of all, whenever, actually being a doctor, we are always having that illusion that, we are knowing almost all and each and everything about the health and fitness, and we are the master of that, and who can advise us? Because, since first MBBS, we are learning about the anatomy and the physiology and the grace and, everything, we have learned, and who can be better than us, So, we are not ready to listen to anyone, neither we are moving forward to taking actual steps. The only issue with the medical schooling is that they teach us about treating the disease process, not to achieve how to get the best body in our life, right? That's the basic difference. There is not a single book or the chapter relating with how to get the best body, and all the time we are dreaming about getting the best body throughout our life. That's the paradoxical thing, and still, we are always under that, no one can advise us, and we are not ready to listen anyone because we are the scientific freak, and very same time, this is what happened. When we take the admission to the medical school, we are at par with all the other engineering and the science students and the commerce, and but with the time, with the practice, with the life going on, and we lose the track, and despite of knowing so many scientific facts and the contents, somehow we do miss the track. So what happens when the doctors, they are not fit. Just a moment, I will just remove this. So, then it is difficult, when the patient, when they come to them and taking for the advice, but they are not getting impressed with the body of the doctor, and ultimately they ignore their advice and they will go to someone else. That's a very routine common scenario. So this is the reaction of the general public, when we ask to take the advice from the unfit doctors, and usually, they are frowning their faces, and this is what the data says. When the fat doctors, they are giving advice to the patient, what is the percentage of perception? 93% of the doctors, though they were obese, and they only advised to the patient when the patient was having the more weight than the doctor. Otherwise, they consider that as a bottom line, right? So, and it's completely funny. At the very same time, the routine, general public, they are at loss, and they are, having real. So, at the end result, this is what happened. It's completely, this science has been hijacked by the people who are non-scientific. They don't know the subject, and still they are giving advice to the people, right? Because we are not, and this is not only true for the doctor's profession. There are many other professions which need to be fit, and still, they are, many of the time, they are not fit. On the flip side, there are so many doctors who set up the example. Warren Billy was one of them. She was the Russian pediatrician and Olympic medalist. This guy, he was he was an anesthetic at Canada and won the medal for the swimming. So both extremes are available. So tell me, which are the fitness pillars? Which kind of the fitness exist? Which are the two baseline types of the fitness? One is the physical fitness, another is the mental fitness, right? So we are talking just purely about the physical fitness, because mental is a very weird and very long topic. When you have the physical fitness, and the mental fitness, there are n number of advantages, but to summarize them, you perform better, you feel better throughout your life. There are 5 basic components of the physical fitness. One is the cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, flexibility, and the body composition, right? This is it, the whole physical fitness is made up of these 5 components only. There is nothing beyond this. So we need to this is me when I was, lifting for our country and won the silver medal at the international powerlifting competition. And cardiovascular endurance, so that is the first, kind of the fitness pillar, where there is it depends on the ability of the heart and the lungs to work efficiently during the physical activity. It is just like our treadmill test or the thallium test. And the examples of the cardiorespiratory endurance are the running, fast walking, cycling, and the swimming. This is most of the time we do or we advise. What is the difference between walking and running? Anybody? What is the scientific difference? When to say somebody is walking and somebody is running? Yes.
2 feet at the same time touching the ground.
That no, he is almost there. When the 2 feet they are not touching the ground, that is running. When the 1 foot is constantly on ground, then it is walking. That is the scientific definition of walking and the running. So running is a good kind of the exercise, and it's even better in the child and the adolescent age group, but with time it will be a little more and more difficult, especially after 40, 50, 60, it will getting more and more difficult for many reasons. Nowadays, in every other day, in the papers, on the social media, on the Facebook, you get so many medals, people are biting and putting them on here and there. That's the latest trend of the marathon and the cyclotron, right? So, because this is because of the more and more awareness about the health in the common society. And so many people in the early morning, around 5 in the morning, they start marathon running and they finish by 9:30, then getting the pictures. So jogging and the marathon, it's the latest trend, but scientifically, it's a chronic cardio, right? It's good, it's a fun. It secretes serotonin, right? So you feel always better after long run. At the same time, if you're doing such kind of the marathon running for months together, years together, you will have a significant muscle loss, right? Unless and until you are fueling your body properly at the time of the run, you are getting prepared for that kind of the sports. If you are not doing so particularly, you will lose significant amount of the muscle. It's a kind of the sarcopenia, right? So that will diminish your metabolism of the body. You are damaging your body with the time. If you are doing it chronically, if you are going for the run 8 times, 10 times, or the 20 times, nothing will happen. But it's a regular affair, then usually you make the muscle loss. And there is the repetitive stress on the joint. So if you are doing it for the 5 years, 10 years, extensive marathon kind of the running, then eventually it will damage the cartilage and the joint space of your knee joints. But apart from that, what ultimately you are looking for, this is the ultimate outcome of a marathon runner. If you look the typical marathon runner, then how they look, this is the typical look. This is the typical look of the marathon runner. Are we striving to get such kind of the outlook eventually? If yes, then it's okay. Or if you are going to have competition or the competitive, you are a marathon runner, then it is okay. But you are a regular human being working in a routine lot and overdoing such kind of the marathon, then you will get such kind of the body, not the other way around, right? So we are dreaming of such kind of the body, and we are running on the other track most of the time. So how to get this? Why the Milkha was having such kind of the body? Because he was doing the HIIT. What is HIIT? It's a high intensity interval training. Now, this is different from the running. Here, it's a kind of a sprinting, right? Milkha was doing just only 100 meter. So it's a fast run, then rest for some time. Again, fast run, then the rest for some time. Similarly, you can do the fast cycling, then do the slow cycle. again the fast cycle, something like that, where you exert your body for burst of activity at your max level, then follow it with the normal routine speed. Again, you repeat the same thing for succession of 8 or the 9 or the 10 cycle max. So the whole cycle will be of maximum 15 minutes or the 20 minutes max, and you are done with the job, right? So this is the kind of the 30 seconds hard, 2 minutes easy. If you are more comfortable, then 1 minute hard and the 4 minute easy. You may, have the variable. There is the fast burst and rest period. You can play around with that, but it's a kind of the intense training with some gap. Again, intense training. That is the HIIT, right? Only thing is, this is extremely good, and this can be done by using the running or by using the cycle or by doing the Zumba or by doing the stair climbing. The only thing, it takes some nervous system recovery period, right? So suppose if I do sprinting today, then I cannot repeat it tomorrow morning, because if I have done it seriously, then my whole, not only the physically, nervously also I'm exhausted. I need some more rest for my nervous system. So I advise for HIIT maybe couple of time in week, that is the maximum, not beyond that, right? So, but it's a wonderful tool and it results into the epoch. Anybody? What is this? Epoch means, after HIIT, the biggest advantage, that is the excess post exercise oxygen consumption, right? So if you have sprinted today, till tomorrow you will keep burning the fat. It's not only till the time you are doing the exercise, but because of the excessive oxygen consumption, there will be the constant burning for coming 24 years or the 36 years, right? So that is the biggest advantage of the HIIT. So you can do the stair climbing like this for a while, for a minute, you can take rest, and again you can just do the climbing, and you just do it for the 8-10 times and you are good to go with that particular day kind of the exercise. Okay, I'll give the example. This kid, he was studying in the 12th and put on a little bit of the weight, and I advised him to go for, such kind of the HIIT, because they can take on with, more kind of the exertion. And after 6 months, he is in a first year of the medical school. He is my son, Shibiraj. And so just I want to say is that, you get extremely good result when you are doing such kind of the exercises. Now, so one is the chronic cardio, other was the HIIT. Now up to the muscular strength. What is the muscular strength? When you are pushing something against the force and you are raising the force that will apply to the muscle, that results into the muscle overload of the pressure to the muscle, that will ultimately do the micro damage of the muscle. If you fuel yourself properly, if you give the proper nutrition, then that will result into the hypertrophy of the muscle, right? So that is the scientific theme of doing any strength exercise, right? You just apply the maximum force on the muscle, then you feed your body, and eventually that results into the hypertrophy. So in the exercise, there are, broadly speaking, there are n number of, different moves and all that, but scientifically and for all practical purposes, the exercises, they are of the two variety. Forget about the machines, okay? They are of the two variety. One is the compound exercises and other is the isolation exercises. Any difference? Anybody? What is the compound exercises? Just like compound fracture. I can see the Kalpan bhai, he was, any orthopedic surgeon, they can say, just like compound fracture. What is the compound exercises? Right, kind of. But more than one joint when it is involved, that is the compound exercise. So any movement which involve more than one joint, then that's a compound exercise, and then only one joint, that is the isolation exercise. I will give you the example: squat, deadlift, bench press, rowing, and the shoulder press. These are the 5 common baseline compound exercises, right? So these are the main compound exercises which will utilize the more number of the joint, more number of the muscle, On other hand, when you see in the movies or the serials or in the gym, most of the time the youngsters they are doing the bicep curl or the tricep extension or the leg raise or the leg extension or the flexion or the calf raise. They all are the isolation exercise, right? So when the only one joint is used, that is the isolation exercise. So what is better? Now, I'm always advisor of the okay. Sorry for this. Uh, when you do the compound exercise, it will utilize more number of the muscle, more number of the joints, and eventually you get the better traction on the muscles, and you have the more uniform development of the body, right? Number two, we can finish out the whole exercise session very fast using the compound exercise. So if somebody asks me what is the role of the isolation exercise, is there any role or not? Yes, you can do it. There is nothing wrong in doing. If you are giving the final shape or the final touch-up, like the cosmetic kind of the touch-up to your body, then the isolation exercise they are must, right? So isolations exercise, they are also good, but mainstay will be the compound exercises. And one more component, that is the muscular endurance. It's the ability to use a group of muscle over and over without tiring. For example, rowing, basketball, or the football, or any kind of the high-speed sports, we are using the same joint repeatedly and we are exerting the same muscles repeatedly. That results into the muscle growth, and it gives more of the definition to the muscle rather than the bulk, right? So there is some difference. When you are doing the strength training, just understand in little more depth. When you do the strength training and giving the more force, it will increase the more volume kind of the muscle. When you are doing the muscular endurance kind of, when you are doing the more repetition with the low weight, that will give the shape to the muscle. So the both components are necessary at the very same time to raise the volume. That is the topmost priority and the first thing to do. Flexibility, it's the ability to use the joints easily, which involves muscles, tendons, and the ligaments, right? So this is also equally important, otherwise you will get the stiffness. This is typical example of the yoga, right? It's fun, it's good, and you can also have the more breathing. So at the very same time, this is not the only ultimate tool where you can get your dream body, but you can always put that component in your routine, so you will also get the advantages of the tendon, ligaments, and the other tissues as well. So these both guys, they are having the same weight, but he looks such kind of obese. Why? Because the body composition are variable in these both two objects, right? So here there is the significant muscle mass is there. On other side, here there is the lot of fat is there. Here, if you look at the muscle component, it is even less than the normal person. And muscle is like, when the car is not moving, but the engine is on. So without doing anything, without putting any physical activity, you are utilizing some sort of the calorie at every minute, right? So that is your insurance not to get overweight when you are having the good amount of the muscle. So the same body weight, how the same person look different with the variable body composition. So now this is the big question, what once you go back home and what to do, give me the exercise module. That's so many people they are asking me, and to so many other professional, those who are involved in the fitness. So tell me, we are also seeing such kind of tablet and the modules. When you are going to the gym, they will give you one paper, and they must have written Monday do the chest, Tuesday do this, something go on and on, right? So it's a very common such kind of the modules available everywhere in all the sports magazine, on the website. But if you look at the components and the internal details, it's so much exhaustive that how you can do the practice, your routine clinical practice, how you will read the new article of your journal, how you will balance out with the family time, how you will go to the marriages and do such kind of the exhaustive workouts and the next day again early morning you are going for work. It's a practically impossible. We want that kind of the module which is easily achievable, reproducible, which is practical in terms of, and which doesn't require a lot of willpower. Ultimately, almost all of you must have visited, once a gym or going for the early morning run, but you stop doing so after few months, few years, and you are again back to your routine. Why that happens? Because that kind of the routine, it needs a lot of willpower. So we want a schedule which doesn't require that much of the willpower, which is scientifically based, and which is easily reproducible. Nowadays, there are so much claims about the 6 week, you get the six pack. Trust me, to get the six packs, most of the time, the guys, what you see on the TV, in the serials, each and everyone, in the movies, they are using the steroids and the growth hormone. Don't try to follow them. You will fail miserably, and again you will stop doing any kind of the exercises throughout your life. This is the thing about that. It looks good on the, and they are not that healthy in overall body composition. If you look at the liver parameters and the liver function tests, they are really, really poor than any normal population. So how to achieve best body scientifically? So as I said, there are only 5 components. So the module should have all these 5 components, and you can mix them up in best possible scientific as well as the practical way. So I just researched a lot and finally derived one module, and it's a kind of a patented module, and I will float it internationally very soon. That module, which should work for the days, months, years, and the decades. Because in the medical line, when we are getting out of our education, we are already more than 30 years. The routine modules, it doesn't work for at all for us. We need a module which work during 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right? So the same module, without any complication, we can follow it for the years together, and we can achieve the best possible practical health in real life. Okay, so just I will share with you the first component, that is the steady state cardio, right? So it's a cardiovascular endurance or the cardiac health. So once a week, at least once a week, we will do 30 minutes or the 40 minutes of fast walking, cycling, or any kind of that chronic activity which lasts for 30 to 40 minutes, right? So that will give you the best cardiac health, that will give you a little bit of the flexibility, and that will give you some good sense of the feeling because of the serotonin production, right? So the one day we should, and there is no need to add on any other additional physical activity to this apart from your routine, right? So do your routine work, just do 30-40 minutes of the cardio. That means the walk on the treadmill, walk on the outside in the garden, go with your dog and something like that. Or you can do the swimming also, right? So any sort of such kind of the activity which lasts for 30 minutes to 40 minutes. On one day, you can go to the gym and you can do the hypertrophy training, right? So hypertrophy training, when I say, that means the 8 to 10 repetition of one muscle group. Okay, so if you are doing I will give the example. If you are going to the gym and do the squat of the 3 sets, which each one having the 10 repetition, then do the deadlift and do the same thing and go home. That's it. Okay, so it's a 10 repetition, 3 sets each, squat, deadlift, or any lower body part on that particular given day. That is the only thing required. Then there is no need to do and go and running extra. One day in a week, go for the sprinting, or as I said, you can do the HIIT by the stair climbing, or by doing the bicycling, where you give the fast thrust and rest for some time, right? So do the one day interval training, and one day you should spare it for the power training. Here, you are going all out. So you are going to the gym and doing maximum weight in your capacity, whatever it can be. But it's a maximum capacity, and it's for the 3 to 5 repetitions only, right? So that will increase all muscle mass, right? And hypertrophy training, that will increase your shape of the muscle. Now, play smartly. If you have done hypertrophy training for the lower part of the body, so as I said, if you are doing the deadlift and the squat, in the same week, you can go for rowing or the pull-ups or the bench press, right? So you can just club like that. So your body will be completely getting the enough rest of the week. Okay, so the next week you can just alternate that. In that case, next week for the hypertrophy, you can go for the upper part of the body, and you can do the power training for the lower part. So this is the SHIP module. This SHIP module, it's a very comprehensive, it's a scientifically proven kind of the things, and it's evidence-based, it's a reproducible. Even if you are missing one component in 1 week, that is okay. It's anytime better than completely, getting out of the rut of the exercise. So, forget about that. Forget about that particular week, and again restart with the same module. It's a flexible. You can restart such modules very easily. It's not age dependent. This is the same true for the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and the 60s, depending on your capacity. And the good news is that it's the same for the male and the female, right? So even the women, they can also adapt the same module. There is no different science for them. So this is all about the SHIP module I'm coming out very shortly with, and I'm sure this will be of real help those who are running busy in their profession. Hyderabadi sir already spoken a lot about the diet, and I'm not just brushing one slide. And as he described, intermittent fasting or the ketogenic diet or the fruit diet, there are n number of modules available as on today to reach from point A to point B. The sole purpose is to restrict your calorie, then the defined number. I will give the example. Suppose there is the 2000 calorie, that is your baseline BMR calorie. So you want to achieve it 1600. So as he said, IF is the one of the best modes. Similarly, there are many different modes of, and that's what the dietitian they do. They will try to get down the number of calories. Still you feel satisfied, and the satiety factor is there, right? So at the very same time, for the composition of the body, how we look, it depends largely on the nutrients also. 3 basic components: carbohydrate, protein, and the fat. I'm not going into the detail, but carbohydrate gives the, per gram, there is the 4 calorie, fat, it's a 9 calorie, protein, it's a 4 calorie. My tip is, keep your protein content constant. When I say this, if you are heavily doing the exercise and everything, then it's a 1.5 gram per body kg weight. If you are a normal routine life, then the 1 kg minimum required protein component. Okay, so that's the clue. And the fat is around say 40 to 50 gram. That's on a max side. And carbohydrate, you may have the variable numbers depending on your goal, what you are looking at. Okay. One more important, though it is not the macronutrient, but I want to emphasize, there is the fiber. Fiber has to be there, and that is in the range of 30 to 40 grams of fibers daily, right? So you should be smart enough how to incorporate all these rather than excluding them, right? So we should incorporate proper number of the protein, proper number of the good fat, and the fiber, and rest is the carbohydrate. So what is the good fat? Avocado or anything which is the peanut butter. There are so many good sources. Olive oil is there. Rather than a cooked one, you can just use it as a fresh, and trans fat should be avoided. Apart from macronutrients, the micronutrients, they are equally important in shaping up of your body in the final stage, and the vitamins and the minerals, they are very essential. Multivitamins is advisable to take it daily for anyone without any adverse effect. Similarly, you can add on with the vitamin D tablets and vitamin E if you need it for your hair and the skin purpose, not for otherwise for the body composition. But I would strongly suggest to take the vitamin C. Vitamin C, that when you are doing the HIIT or doing a lot of works in the gym, and you have, in need of the vitamin C is increasing compared with the normal population. Omega 3 is a good supplement to have, and you can supplement it again with the flaxseed also, but still I prefer omega 3 capsules. They are anytime better than the flaxseeds because it's a more complete chain of the omega 3 compared with the flaxseeds. Of course, we cannot cut down the importance of the water. It's a very important component, and once you feel that, I'm not thirsty, still, overload yourself, especially when you are going to the gym. And the best thing, what I do is I always keep one bottle of the water, big water on my working table, and I put the effervescent tablet of the vitamin C and I keep sipping. So just I'm giving you, the practical baseline tips, how you can increase the water consumption as well as the additional micronutrients. We are relatively less aware about this gut health, microbiomes, and other issues. So probiotics and periodic checking of your gut related health is very important, because the bacteria in your gut, that will many of the time define the metabolism of the entire body. Gluten sensitivity and the lactate sensitivity, they are very non-issues, and sometimes gluten sensitivity, it's more of a hype. So don't fall into the trap of the magazines and the newspapers alone. Really check it out, are you having the gluten sensitivity or not? Otherwise, unnecessary, there is no need to cut down so many things in the life. You can just restrict the dose of the gluten, and most of the cases you are good to go. So there are two monsters, even if you are completely doing everything on track, including your exercise, including your diet and supplements. One thing is, lack of the sleep, which is one of the major factor, and it's very common nowadays compared with 20 years or the 10 years back. And other is the increasing stress factor, right? So if you control these two, then that will complete the whole cycle. And can doctor have Bollywood type of the body? Yes or no? No, unfortunately no, because they are chemically enhanced, right? So we can't achieve that maximum what you can achieve. This is the level, right? So there should not be any mixing up of the final image what we are going to get. So scientifically, even when we don't know, then how much misleading the general population is, right? Because they are always dreaming about that kind of the thing which is not possible to achieve in a practical life. So Nishit Bhai is here, and he must be aware that how so many people they are taking steroids nowadays, and it's a underestimated kind of the figures. Yes, and they do rupture very easily their tendons and the ligaments, because it will make the huge growth of the muscle, but the attached tendon and the ligaments, they don't develop with such kind of the drugs, and ultimately it results in the tear of that. So sometimes even I have seen the super specialist doctors, they are going to the gym, and they are taking advice from the the 22 years or the 24 years chap who is the trainer, just because they are bloomed out with their body by one or other way, and they overload with the information which is most of the time non-scientific, and we should not follow in that kind of the trap. What about the newspaper and the magazines? Look at this. From where these guys are taking the figures? Nothing against coriander. I eat it a lot, and I actually love the the smell and the taste of the coriander. But look at this. Roj savare ek chamchi. From where they got this dose? Yeah, ek chamchi. Why only 1 spoon? And that's with the hot water. If you take with the cold water, how it will change the the final outcome? We don't know. And duration also, within just 3 days only, all bad chemicals, and you will get the reduction, in significant reduction in the weight loss. Such kind of the rubbish they are printing into the paper, and we are discussing into the coffee table of the VS hospital or the civil hospital that we should start eating the coriander. So They are non-scientific kind of the based, and look at the other articles, kaya dhel nidhar, so something like this, look at this guy, Vajan ne, means it's a media-based medicine when it based on beliefs, not on the scientific database, and it's our responsibility to shout when the science is hijacked by the non-scientific people. We will stick to the research, we will stick to the science and the methodology. Only thing, knowledge is of no value unless you put it into your routine practice. This is my upcoming book, and this is all about how to become leaner, stronger, faster, and the younger in your life. Thank you so very much, and live awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any questions you want to take on, or if you are running short? Please. Only 1 day per week, total 4 days. Rest of the 3 days you can do your exhaustive walk, right? And see, 1 day you are doing your schedule of the next week, and next 3 days you are completely stuck, and stay away from all these 3 days by doing any sort of the exercise. Only 4 days are needed. And if you can't go for the 4 days, 3 days, that's okay. Again, the next week you can restart the module. Because, sir, they are, 23-year-old chap who is, many of the time failed in their 12th, and, they are dictating, madam like you, then, what to say, it's not evidence-based, ma'am. And then you will stop going completely to the gym because you have to come to my home for dinner, right? And then, how you will match the gym timing. So eventually you will stop. There has to be some practical way which we can stick to it for years together, decades together. Yes, please.
Which are the persons for which this thing is contraindicated?
Sorry?
These things is contraindicated.
Right. We can apply it a little smartly. Say, suppose somebody is having the severe changes of the osteoarthritis in the knee, right? So they can do any cardio which is involved more of the upper limb or the upper body, and other way around. Somebody is having the problem with the shoulder or elbow or that, then they can use the lower body more kind of the exercises. They can limit the intensity of the exercises depending on their heart condition and the generalized body, what it permits, and gradually they can escalate once they develop that kind of the attitude. Yes, please, ma'am.
Can be given to any age person or any gender, but do you recommend any diet for that, or like with the 3 days we are not doing any exercises, so any diet recommendations
Yeah.
for the shape module?
See, it's a complex and it's a huge science. So normally, yes, if you ask me what you do when you take your maximum carb, I modulate my amount of the carbohydrate. When I'm going to gym, I will just fix up that time. I will take almost 2 hours before that, and 1 hour after the gym when I go to my home, I will have that carb element, okay? Then rest of the day I will play around with the fat and protein. So you have to play a little smartly. So why I do so? Because then the carbohydrate, what I took before the exercise, that will be in my bloodstream. It will help me to lift heavy at the gym. And once I go home, I take the carb, and that carb, it will goes to my muscle because they are always in the demand. It will absorb in the muscle rather than going into the fat.
Yes, thank you.
So. Right. Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So go slow in all these cases, and more emphasize as far as the time was short. Otherwise, I have put a little more how to go for fat reduction kind of the module, which is totally different than this. This is more about the fitness and looking healthy throughout the life. There, the role of the diet, that is the primary. Focus on that particular thing, and then after you can keep adding certain modules of the exercises which are not taxing to him on his body. So that's the way to go. So nutrition and the diet, that is the mainstay for reduction of the fat, and we can also then later on supplement with the exercises. Of course, ma'am. Of course, it's a more important because sarcopenia is more common after 50 years. And then we are doing the reverse, right? Because there is a significant loss of the muscle after the age of the 50 every year. And we can't afford that, you know. If you are having the good overall composition of the body, you will live longer. It's not about looking better, but it's about the living the longer. If you are having the good amount of the composition, it's a must, ma'am. You know, there is no need to do, you know, 200 pound or the 400 pound, but whatever the capacity you are doing, and muscle will respond very fast because you are not touching or smelling the dumbbell at all as on now. And if you start doing, then you will feel the difference just within 2 to 3 months.
What is squat and what is deadlift?
Squat is basically, you can do the squat even in the, you know, it's an extremely good tool. Trust me, extremely good tool to be remain on track. Suppose if you are doing your routine work, okay, and this is, I will just give you the example how we do. Okay, normally squat can be done like this, and there is the full movement like this. Okay, there is the one squat. Doing your work, when you get tired, you know, at least just go like this. This is the one, this is the two, right? Similarly, you can finish with the 10. It's very easy, and it takes only 30 seconds. Okay. Now, if I do the PET CT of your body, I will see extensive glucose utilization in your body. You getting me? So you are using so much free glycogen of your body while doing the squat because it's a compound exercise. So it's a wonderful exercise. On the other hand, deadlift, it is like this, where you just, you know, there is this, and I show that, you know, that clip actually, I will just show it. But these two exercises, they are very important and actually very taxing on the glycogen. So the glycogen of the body, it will respond very fast to the squat, deadlift, pull-ups and the rowing rather than any other exercises. In the bicep curl, only limited exercise. Just a moment. This is the, you know, typical example of the deadlift. Unfortunately, noise is there, but look at this. This is the deadlift. Okay. So here you get the main posterior body chain is completely utilized from your trapezius to your hamstrings and calf muscles.
Something I would like to draw your attention. Deadlift is the back muscle. So nowadays there are a lot of incidents of PID.
Right.
Prevents the PID.
Exactly.
Second thing, squat. It helps the extensor muscle. So the osteoarthritis will be less. We will less likely to go for joint replacement.
Very true, very true. So the muscles around the joint, they will take off the load from the joint itself, and eventually you will have the very healthy joints, right? So it's a wonderful tool to do the deadlift initially with the very low weight, and gradually you can make, once your back muscle are strengthened, then you can go up and up. Okay, thank you so very much. Otherwise it will go on and on. Thank you.